down to business. Turn it off, turn it all the way off. Yay. Okay. How's everybody doing today? It is Valentine's Day, and I would like to wish everybody a happy Valentine's Day. This has been my first episode in a week because, unfortunately, last week I fell under the weather. Just a bug had just swept through my whole household, and I just didn't have the strength nor the energy to do it this past Saturday. So I had to skip a day. But anyway, again, I am your host, Brandon Brevon Towns, and I hope everybody's having a wonderful, safe Valentine's Day. And it is Thursday, February 14th, 2019. Now, if you guys will excuse me, my voice is still a little raspy. I'm still dealing with a little cold. So if my voice starts to crackle just a bit, my bad. I'm still taking medicine, but it's a lot of things that I've been wanting to get into. A lot of NBA talks, college basketball, NFL. But, I'm down here in the Richmond, VA. And, of course, if you are new to Sports Plus Life, don't hesitate to hit that subscribe button and become a part of the Sports Plus Life family. And listen to your boy talk that real. That facts. You know what I mean? Facts plus opinions, because sometimes people don't agree with my opinion, but you know what? That's all good. I mean, that's what the debate is for. But anyway, without further ado, let's get to it. I'm sorry. Like I said, maybe I'll get a little amped up as I go along. But in the meantime, first topic of today would be the NBA. I didn't mean to rhyme, but hey, it is what it is. It just came out that way. It is now officially All-Star break, and if you are a loyal listener, if you were listening to me a couple of months ago when I first started in November and December, I was pretty much brushing the NBA off because we were in the thick of the NFL season, and I was like, they're talking so much about the NBA, but I mean, it's just November. It's just December. Okay, now it's time. We're in February. We're in the middle of February, the dead middle of February. So, more than half of the games in the regular season have already been played in the NBA. So, it's time to get down to it. Now, I will not budge on my stance when it comes to speaking about the NBA. But the Eastern Conference is a conference that has a lot to be spoken about, especially with the trades that happened. I was able to speak on the trades last week when the deadline passed, so I was able to speak on that. Now, like I said, I will start by prefacing my comments by saying we all know what's going to happen in the end result. Barring injury, Golden State is going to win their third straight championship and their fourth championship out of 5 years. But the Eastern Conference is very interesting because the Eastern Conference has now gotten stacked. They're stacked. They appear to be five teams deep. Maybe four. A lot of people still won't give the credit or belief in the Indiana Pacers because, unfortunately, when Victor Oladipo went down with his season-ending injury, but they're still playing. They're still playing, and they're still playing hard. The Eastern Conference standings, playoff standings, they look like this at the All-Star break. The number one seed is the Milwaukee Bucks. They're 43-14. Very impressive. I mean, and this is, you could see this coming just if they had the correct guidance, leadership, or coaching, what have you. This is a roster that Jason Kidd pretty much started building up, but they just weren't, I guess, developing the way they should have been under Jason Kidd. So he was let go. And, of course, former Hawks coach Mike Budenholzer was brought in. He's from the Greg Popovich tree, so he knows his stuff. And, they're a stacked team. Giannis Antetokounmpo, and I did say that right, a.k.a. the Greek Freak, is one of the leading candidates to win league MVP. Personally, I think he should be the leader right now because he's the best player on the best team with the best record. Point blank. They have another all-star, Chris Middleton, made his first career all-star game, you could see that coming from last year because he was really developing into a good player. And then they just have solid parts all around them. Eric Bledsoe and Malcolm Brogdon. They're deep. They're a deep team. Now, the problem is nobody's gonna believe in the Bucks. Nobody's gonna believe in the Bucks just yet. They could get the number 1 seed, and I guarantee you, they will not be the favorite to come out of the East. So let me finish with the Eastern Conference standings. Number 2 is the Toronto Raptors, 43-16, just a game behind Milwaukee. The Indiana Pacers, like I said, most people believe that they'll probably start to tail off over the last couple of months because of Oladipo's injury, but don't bet on it because Nate McMillan is a damn good coach, and he has his players ready to play every game. The 4th seed, and probably the most surprising, even though if you go by record-wise, you're like, okay, I mean, if they hit a hot streak, they could really do some damage and still be the favorite to come out the East. That's the Boston Celtics. They're 37-21. They are the deepest team as far as starters plus reserves. They've been that way since last season. Kyrie Irving has unfortunately gotten hurt again. He's day-to-day. But the Celtics have been winning since he got hurt. So they're the 4th seed. Tied with them is the Philadelphia 76ers. They're 37-21. So those are really your powerhouse teams. Your 5 powerhouse teams in the East, where the second round of the playoffs should really turn out to be a dogfight. I just don't want to summarily dismiss seeds 6 through 8, especially the number 6 seed, the Brooklyn Nets. The Brooklyn Nets, who are pretty much ever since 2013 were seen pretty much as a laughingstock in the NBA. I don't know if you guys remember, but back in the end of the 2012 season, if I'm not mistaken, or the 2013 season, I believe it was the 2012 season, the Nets pulled off a trade with the Celtics, getting Kevin Garnett, Paul Pierce, and Jason Terry from the Celtics in exchange for a bunch of future first-round draft picks, which seemed to be a strictly for the moment deal. And while the Nets did actually go to the second round of the playoffs the year after that, they really couldn't get any talent because they had no picks, because they made deals for aging players who were in their mid to late 30s. And so now Brooklyn now has a bunch of cap space, and they've actually developed they have an all-star, D'Angelo Russell, who was drafted a couple of years ago, 2nd overall by my Lakers, and was seen, I don't want to say was seen to be a bust because he could show that he could score. The issue with him in LA was that whole thing with Nick Young and the tape and him saying all the girls he was messing with when he was with Iggy Azalea, and pretty much was, violated every sort of man code that you could do. So, that was a slate that was probably never going to be wiped clean in LA. But since he's gotten to Brooklyn, he has balled out. Let me, as a true Laker fans, question: would you rather have D'Angelo Russell now, other than Lonzo Ball? Just a question. The 7th seed is the Charlotte Hornets. They're 27-29, and the tied for the 8th seed is the Detroit Pistons and the Miami Heat. So, like I said, in the Eastern Conference, you have this, 5-team race, and the 4-5 matchup is going to be brutal, and I'm pretty sure most basketball fans are praying that the 4-5 matchup is not Boston and Philadelphia. We would like to see that at least be a second-round series like last year, because you're talking about probably the two most stacked teams in the Eastern Conference. of course, I believe the Philadelphia 76ers have the next best starting five outside of the Golden State Warriors with Ben Simmons and Redick at the guards, Tobias Harris, Jimmy Butler, and Joel Embiid in the front court. That's just lethal. And Tobias Harris has fit in. He's fit in like the perfect glove in Philadelphia thus far. And like I said, with so much hype on both teams, you really don't want to see that be a first round matchup. That would be the equivalence. That would be the equivalency of 2015 when the Clippers and the Spurs, who were really two of the top teams in the Western Conference, having to unfortunately play in the first round of the playoffs, which was, I believe, a 7-game series. And so yeah. Now, like I said, most people believe that the Pacers will probably start to die down, but like I said, I wouldn't bet on it. It looks like the battle is going to be between Toronto and Milwaukee. The Raptors, they've just been doing their thing. Kawhi Leonard has been arguably the best player in the Eastern Conference as well, alongside with the Greek Freak and I believe Joel Embiid. And they did just get Marc Gasol in a trade, which I think is big time. Diakam, their young player Diakam, he is a beast. And, of course, you got Kyle Lowry. They have a pretty good bench as well with Van Fleet coming off the bench, leading the second unit. So, like I said, what makes the Eastern Conference so stacked is because, LeBron isn't in it. LeBron has had this damn near decade-long stranglehold over the Eastern Conference, with it really being watered down half of the time. So that's why I don't put so much onus into 8 straight finals. 8 straight finals is an accomplishment, yes. But the first 4, when he was with Miami, was a whole lot more difficult than the last 4 than when he got to Cleveland. I guess maybe with the exception of last year. And I think that's only because, they went 7 games twice, in the first round and in the Eastern Conference Finals. So, but the East, you're going to see Golden State play somebody new. I'll go into the Western Conference, but, Golden State is 41-16. They're number 1, and it doesn't, home court advantage, I don't think matters to Golden State. It may be a different animal if they don't have home court in the finals, because the last 4 years they've had home court in the finals. So that could possibly make a difference, depending on who they face. I would love to see them face Philly. Oh, my goodness, I would. I would love to see the Warriors and the 76ers in the finals. I really, really, really would. The Nuggets are number 2. Like I said with Milwaukee, who's going to really, really, really believe in the Denver Nuggets coming down the stretch? Who's going to really believe in the Denver Nuggets coming down the stretch to maintain a 2 seed? I see it believable, the Nuggets finishing 4th, but who knows? Who knows? The Oklahoma City Thunder, who are rolling right now, are the 3rd seed at 37-19. Let me tell you something. When we talk about, if you listen to the talking heads, it's a 3-way race for the MVP, which is the Greek Freak, James Harden, who a lot of people have said should be in the leaderboard because he scored, 30 straight 30-point games, and he's gone over 40 22 times, and I'm just not that big of a James Harden fan. I'm just not. This is not. He's mastered the way to play in this version of the NBA, which is not nearly as physical as it used to be. That's I mean, I don't know how much. I mean, he knows how to draw. He knows how to flop, flail his arms and legs, which I don't have that much respect for. Because if somebody lays a fingernail on you, you wailing away like somebody just punched you in the face. You know, and players are starting to get sick of it. But be that as it may, also in the MVP discussion is Paul George. Paul George is balling. Paul George, I believe, as of right now, is the best two-way player in the NBA. Because not only is he going he put up 45 points the other night in the Thunder's last game before the All-Star break, and he may win Defensive Player of the Year. Paul George is balling. Boy, do I wish the Lakers had Paul George. I wish we were able to get him. To be honest, just to be totally honest with you, you know, in a year where Russell Westbrook is really struggling offensively, he's putting up triple doubles, but I mean, I don't view honestly a triple double the same way as I viewed it back when I was growing up, because it's a totally different game now. It's a less physical game. You know, back when I grew up, you know, during the Jordan era, the end of the Showtime, well, really during the Jordan era, and even the Shaq and Kobe era, you know, you had a big man who would have his back to the basket, or a power forward who would have his back to the basket, who would stay in the paint a lot. So, you know, guards aren't getting rebounds like that, you know, back 20 years ago, you know, back 20, 25 years ago. That just wasn't happening. But Russell Westbrook, you know, Paul George is killing this notion that nobody can play with Russell Westbrook, because he is balling. And he definitely should be in the MVP race. The Portland Trailblazers are number 4. Me personally, excuse me, Portland just doesn't have the manpower to. I mean, they can be a good regular season team where they can get to a 4th, sneak up on a 3rd like they were last year. But when they get to the playoffs, I guess depending on the matchup, they'll get dealt with. Now, they did just get signed Enes Kanter. And by the way, I just heard that just saw that the Oklahoma City Thunder just signed Markieff Morris. That is big time. That is huge. I do firmly believe that the Oklahoma City Thunder will finish as the number 2 seed when the regular season is said and done. I just see it. I really just see it. The Houston Rockets, they're number 5. You know, they've been a bit of a disappointment, but injuries, Chris Paul has missed a lot of time, and that comes with Chris Paul. Chris Paul is one of the greatest point guards to ever do it, but, excuse me while I drop my phone, but he gets injured way too often, and when it matters most. Happened with Hornets, Clippers, and it's happening with the Rockets. It never fails. So I see Houston. I mean, Houston could probably get to the second round. I could see that. I mean, depending on where they finish. Utah is number 6. They're always scrappy. The Spurs are number 7. You can't ever count out a Popovich team. And the 8th spot is the Los Angeles Clippers, who actually they just traded their best player, so they really could care less about making the playoffs this season because they're looking for the cap money to lure Kevin Durant and Kawhi Leonard. Notice anybody missing from the Western Conference? Yeah, the Lakers. Yeah, that team that LeBron is on. Yeah, the Lakers. They're fucking missing in action. But like I said a few weeks ago, I am so glad that trade with Anthony Davis didn't go through because it's just ridiculous as shit. So now that we know who's going to be on the roster, it's time for them to put the pedal to the metal. I'm going to tell you something. LeBron James is not 100%. The All-Star break could not come soon enough. Lakers just lost the other night to the Hawks. The Atlanta Hawks. The 19-38 garbage-ass Atlanta Hawks. Which is a string of losses to garbage teams that the Lakers have seemed to have had this year. They've lost to the Knicks. The fuck. They've lost to Cleveland. What the fuck?
What about the wiener?
What about it? They probably lost to them too. So it is safe to say that the Lakers may not make the playoffs. Now, I'm going to give LBJ a little more credit than that. I do think that they will make the playoffs. But now you have to be very, very careful about where you're seated at. Because bottom line is, you don't want to end up with Golden State in the first round. You don't. If Golden State is number 1, you need to at least be number 6 or number 7 at worst. If Golden State is number 2, go ahead, knock yourself out. Be number 8. Just make sure you make sure you're either number 8 or number 5 or maybe number 6. You know, that'd be my best bet. So there, everybody saying, should Luke Walton be fired? No, Luke Walton should be fired. He should not be fired. Okay, they've had injuries. Lonzo Ball is still hurt. Of course, LeBron missed 17 games. Rondo has missed a number of games. So, you know, it's just, you got, what, how many games left? A little over 30 games left. You got to do your thing. You know, you have to start playing. You have to start playing, and you have to start being consistent. You cannot lose to these bum-ass teams that you know that you should be beating. Point blank, period, end of subject. They don't even have 30 games left, excuse me. So it's time to get on the good foot. So I spent a lot more time talking about the NBA than I had planned to, but, you know, it is what it is. I hadn't had a show in a week. So, now that I've touched that topic, I'll go ahead and get into some NFL. So, we're not going to get but so much into the NFL. Antonio Brown has requested for a trade. Are you surprised? I guess he formally requests for a trade. Are you surprised? Antonio Brown clearly does not want to be in Pittsburgh anymore. You know what's funny is that this is like, I guess I think about this stuff because I remember so much about sports, because it's just what the fuck I do, man. This is the exact same road that T.O. traveled. Of course, Antonio Brown has spent his entire career with the Pittsburgh Steelers. He is 30 years of age. He'll be 31 by the time next season starts, or during the season, which is just like T.O. T.O., spent the first number of years of his career with the San Francisco 49ers, became disgruntled, had beef with the quarterback, who was then Jeff Garcia, because he ain't never had no beef with Steve Young. But Antonio Brown is having beef with Ben Roethlisberger, who I don't think gets enough of the blame for this whole situation, because Ben Roethlisberger, again, is not a good leader when it comes to quarterbacks. He is a blame deflector. So T.O. Made the move to Philly, and then, everybody knows what happened after that. So what will happen with Antonio Brown? Antonio Brown appears to want to go to the 49ers. He's been talking with Jerry Rice, and they're trying to, that would be good for Jimmy Garoppolo, assuming he can stay healthy. They say that the 49ers don't have a wide receiver that can take the top off of defense. That's not true, because Marquise Goodwin does just that. That's what he was signed to a contract extension for. But, be that as it may, that would be a great pickup for the 49ers. And if I'm the Steelers, I'd do it. I mean, why the hell not? I'm not, for one, he doesn't want to be here. Then I don't want you here. You can't get along with the quarterback. And even if because you're not going to get rid of Ben Roethlisberger. You're not going to get rid of him for Antonio Brown. I'd think about it, depending on who was getting rid of him for. But damn, think about this. The Steelers at one point had Antonio Brown, Le'Veon Bell, Ben Roethlisberger, and you motherfuckers couldn't get along. I'm not even so much as far as Le'Veon Bell. The Steelers were just stupid as far as that is concerned. But the Steelers still have weapons. You got Juju. You could try to definitely develop James Washington, and James Conner was a more than adequate replacement for Le'Veon Bell. He ain't Le'Veon Bell, but he was an adequate replacement. But that's just crazy. Think about those weapons. You had a generational running back, a generational wide receiver just 2 years ago, in the AFC Championship game. And now you're not going to have either. That's just bananas. That is bananas. So, but if I'm the Steelers, I'm not trading him to anybody in the AFC. I'm damn sure not trading him to anybody in the division. So why not ship him off to San Francisco? You're shipping him clear across the country. You play the 49ers once every 4 years. So what? I just let him go on about his business. Assuming, because now Antonio Brown has some domestic stuff he got to deal with. Assuming he's not going to be disciplined by the league, then he should go for it. Which brings me to my next subject. The Cleveland Browns signed Kareem Hunt. Remember Kareem Hunt? The guy, the running back for the Kansas City Chiefs, who was having a great second year as he had a great rookie season, who was suspended, who was cut by the Kansas City Chiefs and then put on the commissioner's exempt list, which is suspended, for a TMZ video surfacing of him kicking a woman in a hotel lobby or hallway area about a year ago. Yeah. So people are, reacting, and they're saying, oh, you shouldn't have signed him, blase, blase. And people kill me with that because, one, he's not like he's going to be playing. I mean, so to me, it's more curious of a signing for the Cleveland Browns because you already have Nick Chubb. You got Nick Chubb, you got Duke Johnson, which probably might end up pushing Duke Johnson not out the door, definitely reduction in playing time, because I don't see Kareem Hunt. If Kareem Hunt comes back, whenever he comes back and has a great showing for the Cleveland Browns, I don't see him staying there, especially if Nick Chubb is doing his thing. But somebody was going to sign him. You're 23 years old. You had an all-pro rookie season. You were having an all-pro second year, and he's been remorseful. So he made a mistake. This is what, really pisses me off about this society, and I'm going to touch on that with the next thing, with a couple of subjects down the line. But that's what pisses me off about today's society. Is, people, when you mess up, and I'm going to go there, particularly if you're a black athlete. Yeah, I went there. When you mess up, people want you to just go away, disappear, and not be heard from again and not be able to make a living at your profession. Who the hell do these people think they are? Honestly. When you're a black entertainer, that's different. That's different. Rapper or singer can go to jail and they'll be more popular when they get out. That's just the way shit is. But for an athlete, that's a trip, man. Unless you're a boxer. And if you're a boxer or a UFC fighter, that's different too, because that's just a one-on-one sport. But team sports, particularly in the NFL, if you mess up, people don't want you to be heard from again. And I say, you know what? Good for you, Kareem Hunt. Continue doing what you're doing. Just know, if you do this stuff again, nobody ain't going to have no mercy on you. Watch the people you hang with, or if you think, it's a good night to go out and party, stay the fuck home. If you have a thought that some BS should hang up, that some BS should happen. And another thing, these women that you don't know, don't fuck with them. Don't fuck with them. Leave them alone. Because you should already know what these chicks out here want. Especially if you don't know them. Now, if you know them, you grew up with them, had a long history with them, or you went to college with them, or something, okay, that's different. But some random chick that you just met because you and your boys was out partying, who looked like she could be a jump off, leave her alone. Leave her alone. Just don't even worry about it. I mean, because you find yourself in situations like this, especially when alcohol and shit is involved. So, like I said, I'm happy for the young brother for getting another opportunity. Like I said, he's probably not gonna play until past the midway point next season. You might not see him till week 11 of next season. But you know what? Good for him, and thank you. Good for the Cleveland Browns to for taking a chance on him. But this is gonna drive right into my next subject. So, I'm glad Kareem Hunt got another opportunity from a domestic, dispute incident. But he got another chance. And Colin Kaepernick, where you at, bro? Still nobody wants to sign you. Which further shows how ass backwards and what this situation with Colin Kaepernick is really about. Now, the reason why I mention it is because, one, like I said, it's backwards. Doesn't make any sense. Doesn't make any sense at all. Colin Kaepernick didn't break any laws, didn't need to be suspended or nothing of the sorts. None of that nonsense. But he had a peaceful protest, but still remains unsigned. And when he's better than at least half the quarterbacks that are on NFL rosters. Now, one thing that I heard today that I believe made no sense. Former NBA commissioner David Stern came out and said that the NFL should have just suspended Colin Kaepernick the first time he decided to kneel for the national anthem. First of all, David Stern, shut the fuck up. And I have a lot of respect for David Stern. I thought he was a great commissioner, got a little too heavy-handed after the Malice in the Palace, and blocked the Lakers deal, which could have got them Chris Paul. Only reason I don't really feel no type of way because I thought that deal was dumb anyway. But it'd have been cool to see a still young Chris Paul play with a still healthy Kobe. But be that as it may, who the hell are you? So the NFL is going to, so he said the NFL should have suspended Colin Kaepernick the first time he kneeled. Well, genius, there was no rule in place that said Colin Kaepernick couldn't do what he did. So what are you going to suspend him for? Other than you're just making up stuff off the fly. So what are you trying to suspend him for? To me, that reeks of you need to tell that boy that he need to know his place and you should have suspended him in the first place. And that is just crazy. David Stern needs to really shut up. Stick to being the former commissioner of basketball, bro. Because like I said, there was no rule in place that said that players could not kneel when Colin Kaepernick did what he was doing. And that is a peaceful protest. You know what I'm saying? Not illegal, not physically doing anything wrong to anybody. So you know who should be suspended? Your goddamn mouth for making that dumbass comment. That's who should be suspended. So shut up, biatch. And like I said, you might not be able to tell it now, but yeah. I have a lot of respect for David Stern, but I don't have respect for that comment because you just appear to be another person, quote unquote, who is just trying to keep Colin Kaepernick down. Now, incidentally, the Carolina Panthers did sign Eric Reed to a 3-year extension, who was Colin Kaepernick's top kneeling buddy. So good for him. But, yeah. So that did kind of rub me the wrong way. And in other NFL news, my Denver Broncos just traded. No, I'm sorry. My Denver Broncos are the recipient of a trade. The Baltimore Ravens have traded Joe Flacco to the Denver Broncos. Joe Flacco to the Denver Broncos. So Joe Flacco is going to be our new quarterback. I tell you, as much as I love John Elway is really starting to piss me off. He's really starting to piss me off. Now, Joe Flacco, to me, is a slight upgrade from Case Keenum.
You suck!
I mean, goodness gracious. So, if Case Keenum could get us to 6-10, what will Flacco get us at least back to being 8-8?
You suck!
I mean, look. If you were getting the first 5 years of Joe Flacco, if you were getting that version, I honestly wouldn't have a problem with it, because Joe Flacco's first 5 years in the NFL, you can't, of course, he still had Ray Lewis and Ed Reed and all of those boys on his defense, but you couldn't argue with the results. In his first 5 years, playoffs every year, at least one win in the playoffs per year, 3 AFC championship game appearances, 1 Super Bowl victory, 1 Super Bowl MVP. That's Joe Flacco's first five years in his NFL career. Now, that Super Bowl win was in 2012. Next season will be the 2019 season. Yeah. So you know what Joe Flacco has done since he's won that Super Bowl and got that massive contract? You know what Joe Flacco has done? Joe Flacco has taken the Ravens to the playoffs once in 2014. Yeah, the Ravens made the playoffs, but it wasn't because of him. The Ravens were 4-5 when Lamar Jackson took over. So the Ravens have officially announced what I have been saying since the beginning of the show. The Lamar Jackson era is here. But damn it, that didn't mean I wanted the Joe Flacco era to start with my Broncos. Look, Elway needs to get over this whole statue built of a quarterback that he's been drafting ever since 2011. I mean, goodness gracious. You drafted Brock Osweiler, 6'7", statue.
You suck!
Somewhat mobile, but mostly statue. Then you draft Paxton Lynch.
You suck!
Dude. He ain't even in the league no more. We drafted him in the 2016 draft, and he ain't even in the league no more. And it just turned 2019. You drafted Paxton Lynch when you could have had Dak Prescott. I mean, come on. You drafted Brock Osweiler when you could have had Russell Wilson. Okay. And now you've traded for Joe Flacco. Yes, Joe Flacco is a Super Bowl champion. Yes, Joe Flacco is a Super Bowl MVP. But if you just listen to what I said, that was all in his first 5 years. The last 6 ain't been shit. 1 playoff appearance. Now, as a Bronco fan, as an Elway fan, I surely hope I'm wrong. But I mean, damn it. Because while Joe Flacco has a huge arm, and he is, one thing I will say, he is a prime now. In big games, he shows up. He does show up in big games. But he plays down to his competition all the time. All the time. Sorry. But that's Joe Flacco. He plays down to his goddamn competition all the time. Let me give you a perfect example. The Ravens could have been 8-2 playing a 3-7 team who they should just kick the shit out of. And Flacco will have a game where he'll be 12 for 26 or 12 for 30, 108 yards, and 3 interceptions. And you might lose, or you have to totally rely on the defense. Like, bruh. The best thing about Flacco is that if he starts off the season great, he'll be cheap on FanDuel. So, before I get pissed off, let me one more football topic. The AAF, I think that's what it is. The new football league. How do you guys like it? Now, I caught all of the highlights of the games, and of course, the one that everybody is talking about is when that linebacker knocked the hell out knocked the helmet off the quarterback. I was like, that's what the fuck I'm talking about. That's football. And people are saying, is this going to be bad for the NFL? No, the NFL is actually helping promote it. They have games on the NFL Network. It did great when it came to viewers. As far as for prime time, it outdid the primetime basketball game, which was the Rockets against the Thunder. It outdid that. We all know that we as Americans love football. We love football. We got to have our football. We love football. Now, I don't know how many people remember this, but when the XFL came out in 2001, they had a great first week too. I'm not saying that the AAF is going to, go like the XFL. I mean, there are some notable names in this new football league. Your common NFL rejects, Christian Hackenberg and Trent Richardson. They're part of it, and it was it was good football. It was good quality football. And if people latch on to it, cool. But I'm not gonna put it on my daily Saturday night and Sunday night schedule because, I enjoy it, and like I said, I hope it succeeds. But one thing that we love about football is that we might not have the patience for with the AAF is knowing who you're watching. See, we'll watch the NFL for 20 weeks straight, all the way up to the Super Bowl, because we can identify, we know these players. We know these players, we know these teams, fantasy football, all this other stuff, we know them. There's no familiarity with these players that could make it tough. Now, if they keep having hits, cranking out hits like the one that happened in week 1, oh yeah, definitely they'll have some success. But star power makes a big difference in football as well. So, and it's not a league that's gonna hurt the NFL. What I want, this is what I would do. Of course, because I don't care how many football leagues that you have, you're not going to dethrone the NFL. It's just not going to happen. If that's what they're looking for, then that definitely is not going to happen. But what you should do, what I want to do if I had the money, and I know the XFL's opening again, is going to reopen next year. I hate to say it, but XFL is probably going to flop again. Because then you're dealing with overload of football. But what football league needs to launch is a football league a professional football league where football players can join straight out of high school. I'm talking about challenge the NCAA, because the NCAA makes billions off of these student athletes, but then want to strip them of their eligibility and everything else as soon as they take a penny. But you got coaches that are making millions and millions of dollars, athletic departments and programs that are making millions and millions, boosters that are giving you millions and millions, and these players aren't allowed to see a thing. And if you find out they're being paid under the table, they suspended, lose eligibility, the university has to go through all of this bullshit. I would come up with a league where you can have players strictly out of high school. And it wouldn't just be a strictly out of high school league. If players who weren't able to develop in the NFL or anything like that, they could play too. But what I would do is I would make it maybe an age limit. I would say from anywhere from the ages of 18 to, 28. Now, I know your bodies develop so much differently then, but And if you're saying, that'll never work, that wouldn't work, you're going to challenge the NCAA, all it takes is one. All it takes is for that one top recruit coming out of high school to say, hey, guess what? I'm not going to go to college to play football. Now, I wouldn't encourage players not to go to college at all, but they're saying, I'm not going to go to college to go play football because I'm going to sign with this new football league where I can make at least about $35,000 to $50,000 a year, give or take how the league does, and I can develop myself, and while still being paid, I can develop myself on a professional level while I'm still getting paid, and then, once I'm at a certain age, if the NFL wants to look at me, then cool. If the NFL wants to look at me and I decide to go, then cool. It's almost like minor leagues for the NFL. But now you get that top high school recruited quarterback or running back. All of them boys that the SEC, that mostly the SEC and Ohio State be grabbing on National Signing Day. Say they nationally signed to a new football league where they can play pro right out the gate. Yeah. Then the NCAA could be shaking in their boots a little bit. But that's just me. Anyway, last subject I'm going to touch on is, it's halfway through February. March Madness is coming up. Oh, I know I didn't do that right. So, number one team in the country is still Tennessee. The Volunteers are 22-1. Number 2 is Duke. They're 21-2. Number 3 is Gonzaga, 23-2. Number 4 is Virginia, 21-2. Virginia's only 2 losses have been to Duke, but they're still number 4. Number 5 is Kentucky. Michigan, 6. 7 is Nevada. 8, North Carolina. And Virginia actually, after losing to Duke last Saturday, bounced back on Monday to win at North Carolina. So that's big time. Number 9 is Houston. They are fun. The Houston Cougars are a fun team to watch. I enjoyed watching them last year in the tournament. They are a fun team to watch, and they're going to be a dangerous team. Okay, and Marquette, number 10. They're 20-4. That rounds out the top 10. Okay, you still got Michigan State, Purdue, Villanova, Kansas, Texas Tech, Louisville, Florida State, Kansas State U, LSU, Wisconsin, and Wisconsin. That rounds out 11 through 20. Then you got Virginia. You have Iowa, Virginia Tech, Iowa State, Maryland, and Buffalo. And Virginia Tech took a tumble. They were 11 last week. They tumbled down 11 spots. Excuse me. They did win the other night though. So, but I had questions. I mean, now that's the AP top 25. In the coaches poll, Virginia Tech is still ranked 16. But they were 6 in that. Just like last week, Virginia was number 1 in the coaches poll. But, I've had my questions about Tech. I've had my questions about Virginia Tech because it's just like, are you that good? Because I saw them lose at home to Louisville this past Saturday. They did have a nice bounce back win, but it's like, how good are you? Because you were at one point number 10 in the country. So how good are you really? And it's really going to show at, once the ACC tournament comes, because I think Tech needs to finish strong or they're going to find themselves with a pretty crappy seed that they don't really want in the NCAA tournament. I think, they will have done enough to make the tournament. I'm not saying that I sit here and I see a collapse, but it would not surprise me one bit if come conference tournament time, conference tournament week, which for the ACC is around the St. Patrick's Day weekend, it wouldn't surprise me one bit if Virginia Tech had fallen out of the top 25. Just being honest. I'm trying to pull their schedule up now just to get an idea of what it looks like, because I know they have to see Virginia again. Which they did upset them last year. But Virginia appears to be able to beat everybody except Duke. Let's see. Virginia Tech just beat Georgia Tech. Then they play at Pittsburgh on Saturday. They should win that game to get to 20-5. Then they have UVA at home on Monday. That's a toss up. I would favor UVA. Then they're at Notre Dame. Notre Dame's pathetic. They should definitely win that game. Then you're home to Duke. Duke will be favored to win. Then you're at Florida State. They'll be favored to lose that game as well. And then your last game of the regular season is you're home to Miami. So, Virginia Tech might finish the regular season 22-8, perhaps, which is not bad. But you would like to win a game or two in the ACC tournament. So we'll see. But wanted to touch on that NCAA. So with that being said, weta buzzer, weta buzzer, weta buzzer. All right, let me get into my quick life topic. All right, it is Valentine's Day, people. And what is Valentine's Day? One of the most successful pyramid schemes in the world. I ain't joking. I mean, come on now. Look, I'm not trying to be a Valentine's Day killer or nothing like that, but it's a Hallmark holiday. It's bullshit. So correct me if I'm wrong. We're supposed to show our significant other how much they mean to us, specifically on this day. Okay. What about the other 364? What about their birthday? What about their anniversary? What about Christmas and all of that other stuff? Valentine's Day is what it is. It's a pyramid scam. It works, and it works every year. It works every year. Just like a lot of these holidays are pyramid scams. Man, I was in Walmart last night, and how many people were just sitting there breaking their necks to try to do something, to try to buy something for Valentine's Day. I was like, you would think that it was Christmas Eve. Are you serious? I saw a card that said, "From the dog." From the dog. And this lady was like, I wish I had seen it earlier. I'd have bought it. I was like, oh, my God. Valentine's Day, people. Pyramid scheme. Way to make a bunch of money for a Hallmark holiday. Okay? I can give you a list of pyramid scheme ass holidays that we celebrate every year. I mean, honestly. St. Patrick's Day, which is a fun holiday, pyramid scheme. Okay? Mother's Day, pyramid scheme. Because most people love their mom. It's your mother. Are you serious? It's your mother. Okay? Father's Day is definitely a pyramid scheme because most people don't really give a fuck about it. You know what? They really don't care about it. Father's Day does not seem get nearly the attention that Mother's Day gets. You know what they should have? You know what holiday they should have? The not there Father's Day. For all the daddies who ain't shit, you maybe could lure them out and then you could catch them in the act. Happy ain't shit Father's Day. Come on out, you get a discount on this, that, and the third. And I guarantee you going to see some motherfuckers that you ain't seen in years. Okay? But like another pyramid scam. The 4th of July. If you ain't served in the military, pyramid scheme. The 4th of July ain't nothing but a reason for us to have a cookout and not go to work. I mean, that's it. That's really all the 4th of July is to most people. Like I said, if you ain't served in the military, pyramid scheme. I mean, if you're out and you're having dinner and you bought chocolates and flowers and all of that stuff, good for you. Good for you. But I mean, come on, let's, don't fall victim to the commercialization every year, people. It shouldn't be on February 14th every year that you show your husband or your wife how much they mean to you, or your boyfriend or your girlfriend, or your son or your daughter. It shouldn't take February 14th to do that. What about the other? I mean, because trust me, there going to be other days where they're going to want you to show them that. Like I said, like a birthday or an anniversary or a special accomplishment at work or whatever, or Christmas, whatever. You know, so, be that as it may. So I guess, let's give a round of applause for another successful pyramid scheme known as Valentine's Day. Come on, let's hear it. Yeah. Hallmark, you sons of bitches, you've done it again. You have done it again. Another year, another 10 million suckers. But anyway, this is, been a good episode. This is episode, I believe, 26 of Sports Plus Life. Once again, definitely hit that subscribe button. I will definitely holler back at you guys Saturday, assuming I'm not under the weather. But again, my name is Brandon Brevon Towns. I am your host. I'm definitely going to holler back at you. It is NBA All-Star Weekend, so let's get ready to have some fun. Peace.